my dear students. I am Dr. Anuradha, Associate Professor, Department of Physiology, Sree Balaji Medical College and Hospital. I have 17 years of teaching experience. I have 9 publications in national and international index journals. Today, let us see about the cerebral cortex. So, before going to cerebral cortex, let us see little bit about cerebral hemisphere. We have right and left hemisphere, whereas left hemisphere is involved in the control of right side of the body and also spoken and written language interpretation, then maths and scientific skills. Whereas right hemisphere is involved in the control of left side of the body, then musical and artistic talents, and to assess the emotional part of the language. And cerebrum is the largest part of the human brain. It is separated by the median longitudinal fissure and connected by corpus callosum. Each hemisphere has an outer grey matter which is around 5 mm thick. It is called the cerebral cortex. And if you see the anatomy of the cerebral cortex, we have elevations and depressions. Elevations are called as elevations are called as gyri and depressions are called as sulci. Coming to the lobes of the cerebral cortex, based on the location, it is divided into 4 lobes: frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe and occipital lobe. We will see one by one. Before going to the lobes, I want you to know about the Brodmann's area. Brodmann is a scientist who has divided the cerebral hemisphere into 52 cortical areas based on the function. That is called Brodmann's area, and each area is named after him. In frontal lobe also, we have so many Brodmann's area. We will see one by one. First is a motor area. Area 4 is called as motor area, and area 6 is called as premotor area, as it is located just in front of the motor area. Then frontal eye field is called area 8, then Broca's area, area 44 and 45, then prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is a separate part of the frontal lobe which is located in front of this frontal lobe. Coming to the functions of frontal lobe, the motor area, area 4, which is involved in the precise voluntary movement of our any action. If we want to do any action, that voluntary movement is initiated precisely by this area 4. That is why it is called as primary motor area, and this is done through the corticospinal tract. Premotor area, which is in front of this motor area, that is also called as area 6, which coordinates the movement which is initiated by the motor area. Then frontal eye field, that is area 8, which is involved in the voluntary and conjugate eye movement according to our body movement. That is the frontal eye field. Then Broca's area 44 and 45, it helps in the fluency of the speech and also meaningful speech by controlling our lips, tongue, larynx and respiratory muscles. So, these are the functions of the frontal lobe. So, remember that frontal lobe is mainly involved in the voluntary movement. Then few points about the prefrontal lobe. It is the seat of intelligence. It controls the mood and feelings, and also it will help us to judge accurately and to plan better. And also it is involved in the working memory and also initiation of movements. Along with that, it is responsible for the resting EEG, electroencephalogram. Suppose if this prefrontal lobe is removed or damaged, this will lead to certain symptoms called flight of ideas. They will have lot of ideas but meaningless ideas. Emotional instability. They will be very unstable, and loss of recent memory loss. Then alteration in the social behavior, attention deficit. Then lack of initiativeness, and always they will be restless. And one interesting thing is they will be always happy, that is euphoria. So, these are the symptoms of prefrontal lobectomy. Previously, it was done for few medical cases, but nowadays it is not done. It is nowadays instead of prefrontal lobectomy, prefrontal leucotomy is done. That is only disconnecting the prefrontal lobe from other parts of the brain or cutting the limited parts of prefrontal cortex. That is called prefrontal leucotomy. Coming to the parietal lobe, which is also called as somatosensory area. Here we have primary somatosensory area, that is called as area 3, 1 and 2. Then sensory associatory cortex, that is area 5 and 7. If we see the functions of parietal lobe, perception of specific sensations like touch, pressure, vibration, pain and temperature or by the area 3, 1, 2. That is, we will be able to feel the touch sensation, pain sensation and the heat or cold sensation, all this because of the area 3, 1 and 2. Then recognition of relative intensity of different stimulus. That is, if you are given with 2 glasses of water, one will be warmer, one will be cooler. You will be able to differentiate which is warm, which is cool. That is because of the area 5 and 7 of parietal lobe. Then hand-eye coordination. This is important those who are doing any skilled work. For them, the hand and eye should coordinate for the fine movement, that is by the area 5 and 7 of parietal lobe. Then recognition of similarities and differences. For example, if you are given any object, you will be able to identify the shape, size, texture and weight of the object. And this is called as stereognosis. And this is by the area 40 of parietal lobe. Then recognition of our position of the body and passive movement of the limb. Whenever we are sitting or standing, we are aware of our position. That is because of this parietal lobe. Then learning, memory, reading, writing, all are a part of parietal lobe. Suppose if the parietal lobe got damaged by any reason, there will be loss of fineness and discrimination of sensation like pain, touch and temperature. Then loss of stereognosis. Then memory and learning will be impaired. And agnosia, that is inability to recognize the familiar objects. And hand and eye movement, that cooperation, coordination will be lost. So coming to the temporal lobe, it has primary auditory area, area 41 and 42, auditory associatory area, area 22, 21 and 20, then vernix area 22. And along with that, we have few other small areas. So these are the 3 important ones. In this, vernix area is involved in the interpretation of the spoken language. So all of you are able to understand what I am talking. That is because of your vernix area. And temporal lobe, easy to remember, it is very close to our ears. So it is the center for hearing. It is involved in hearing. And it also involved in the language comprehension, understand the languages. Then recent memory, facial recognition. Then also a little bit about olfaction. So these are the functions of temporal lobe. Suppose if the temporal lobe got damaged, it will lead to a syndrome called Kluver-Bucy syndrome. So in this, not only temporal lobe, along with this hippocampus, amygdala and piriform cortex will be damaged. That will lead to a certain set of symptoms like alteration in hearing. As temporal lobe is involved in hearing, damage to temporal lobe will lead to alteration in hearing, then visual agnosia, then change in emotional behavior, hypersexuality, then loss of recent memory, then loss of color vision, prosopagnosia, like that. Finally, we will see about the occipital lobe. There are 3 areas: primary visual area, area 17, visual associatory area, area 18, occipital eye field, area 19. These are the 3 areas in the occipital lobe. And this is involved in the perception of light, perception of color, perception of shape, size and position of the object. And also it is involved in the visual acuity, that is depth of vision. Then it is involved in the role of posture and equilibrium, and it will also help in the memory, language and other higher functions. Suppose if the occipital lobe gets damaged, it will lead to blindness and also loss of all forms of vision. But here only one thing, posture and equilibrium will not be affected as it is also controlled by cerebellum. Let us finish the class with the homunculus. There are two types of homunculus, sensory and motor homunculus. Homunculus is a topographical arrangement of different parts of the body in motor cortex. The body is represented upside down in the motor cortex and also represented contralaterally in the brain, whereas face will be represented in the same side as well as in the straight form. And the area of representation is proportionate to the function. It is not according to the size of the body parts. It is according to the functional importance. For example, hands, lip and tongue will have extensive representation, whereas trunk and our hip muscles will have very limited representation. So, this is about the sensory and motor homunculus. So, to sum up, in this class we have discussed about the different lobes of the cerebral cortex, that is frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe and temporal lobe. Along with that, we learned the functions and effect of lesion of different lobes, and we touched upon the sensory and motor homunculus of the brain also. So, with this we will end the class. Thank you for patient listening.